Good evening, my dolls. This is again Ambrosine, and I'm here to bring you more true scary stories. This video might be a little bit longer than the previous videos. These stories are once again interviewed, so it does take some time in order to get them. Without further ado, the names and identities of the people in this story have been changed. There are two stories. Both of these stories are in the perspective of a male. This is my first story. It happened when I was about 7. One night, around 11 p.m., my sister and her friend was playing. I decided that I was going to go over and play with them too. Her friend lives just across the fence from our backyard. We had played well into the night, and it was around midnight. It was me, my sister, her friend, and 2 other guys. Since it was so late at night, everyone said, "Hey, let's do something creepy and scary." We went into the bathroom of my sister's friend's house, and the bathroom had 2 doors. One leading to the living room, and the other door leads to a back room. The bathroom had a mirror and 2 soap holders that was slightly below it. So we decided to put 2 candles there. We turned out the lights and closed both doors. They began chanting, but I didn't, as I really wanted no part of it. I was just there to be there. At some point, everyone, except me, started chanting Candyman, just like in the movies. But it wasn't just 3 times. It was like for 5 minutes. It was almost like they were praying. Suddenly, we started to hear extremely loud scratching noises. The door that we came from started to shake like crazy. In the mirror, in the middle of the mirror, there was a shadow that flew by. During this time, the candles go out. The scratching noises continue, and the doors continued to rattle. Everyone started to scream. The lights wouldn't turn on when we tried to turn it on, and neither door would open no matter how hard we tried. I was sitting there on the tub at this time, behind everyone, while the scratching was going on. But after the candles were blown out, something clawed and pulled me into the tub, and I banged my head against the side as soon as the door opened to the back room. Even though I was the furthest away, I was the first one out of that bathroom. Upon the others entering the back room, there was a futon, and we all sat down there and cowardly curled up into a ball, staring at the dark bathroom for 30 minutes. We got up and went outside to the backyard, and then we went all the way around from the backyard to the front door, entered the house, and we went straight to the bathroom. The door was totally scratched from top to bottom. I suppose the best way I could describe it is as it looked as if someone took keys and dragged them deep into the door. We opened the door and looked inside of the bathroom. Everything was normal. The candles were lit, the lights worked, but immediately after that, my sister and I were like, "We gotta go." Ever since then, I've hated mirrors. I won't even have one in my house, except in the bathroom. That story was Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Now, the next story is so cute. It's the pink room. Kind of like the dollhouse. It happened when I was about 16. We moved into a house, and during this time, everything was fine. My parents just started renting the house, and as a child, the parents really didn't tell me much about what was going on. So naturally, me and my 2 sisters had no say. We moved in, and I started unpacking my stuff. My parents came into the room and said, "Zeph, this room is yours." It was strange, but I didn't complain. Even though the room was pink, it was one of the larger rooms in the house. They wanted me here because it was the closest room to the road. And that means it was also the loudest room in the house. We could always hear people driving. The room was a perfect square, and there was a shelf in front of the window, and there was a very small closet with the AC unit residing inside. I always had 3 boxes I never unpacked, so I put them in the closet. Then I decided to put the bed in front of the closet. Yes, I blocked the closet with the bed as I lived primarily out of my dresser. We stayed here for around 3 months and nothing out of the ordinary occurred. A few nights later, I had noticed that it was really quiet. Normally there were still people driving by, as they drive by all parts of day and night. And usually you can hear cricket noises. But this one night, everything was eerily silent. It was silent enough to hear a pin drop. I decided to ignore it as nothing really happened at this point, so I figured it was nothing, and I would go back to sleep. This happened about 3 times a month. It would wake me up in the middle of the night with my hair standing on end. You know, that creepy feeling like someone was watching you. This happened for a while, but one night I was awoken again as usual and creeped out like someone was watching me. I was fully awake, but I couldn't move. It felt like I was paralyzed. I also noticed that I couldn't speak. I attempted to call out for my mother several times, but all that would escape my lips is a silent whisper. However, these events continued to happen and became more frequent. It went to twice a week, and it was completely different than before. After going through this for a while, I got to the point where I believed it was spiritual. My family has always been beacons to the supernatural. I tried to tell my mother about this multiple times, but she didn't believe me. She said she didn't feel anything. So, to prove what was happening, one night, I took my stepfather's camera and I laid in my bed waiting for the dreadful silence. Once that happened, I looked up and I snapped 3 pictures, and that's where I saw it. In a picture, it was a creepy girl with black hair and looked like she was about in her teens with porcelain skin. It was like a creepy doll staring right at me. I showed my parents the picture and my mother instantly believed me. My father, on the other hand, didn't, even with proof right there. He refuses to believe anything like this. He deleted the picture right in front of me and carried on like nothing happened. Once I figured out it was a spirit, I began cursing and taunting, pissed that this was happening to me on a near nightly basis. One night, I was laying in bed, sleeping, and I woke up out of a dead sleep, and it was that same paralyzation like normal. I began to talk, curse, and try to call for my mother with my silent voice. I started to look around, and it felt stronger than normal. And then it happened. My comforter, my sheet, was all being bunched up in a straight line, completely stripping my bed. And once it hit to where my feet is, it spun me around and pushed and pinned me against the wall. It started to choke me for what seems like an eternity, but in actuality, it was only 5 minutes. Then, as sudden as it began, it stopped. Once it released me, I got up and I ran straight out of the room and through the hallway, past my mom's door, and I yelled into her room, "I'm never sleeping in there again! I'll sleep on the couch for the rest of the time that I'm here!" I moved out of the room, and I started sleeping in the living room. My youngest sister says, "I'll take the room. It's the biggest room in the house." She never believed any of this happened anyway. After she stayed in there for a while, she started to talk. It was about some of the creepier things that started happening to her. Things started to get quiet, really quiet, just like it did for me. But it was all different. She would hear growling, and suddenly, red eyes would appear all around the room. One morning, my mother noticed a middle-aged woman kneeling down at the rose bush in front of our house. We thought she was taking some roses, but that wasn't the case. She was kneeling for nearly a half an hour before my mother decided to go outside and say something to her. They began to talk. The lady mentions that she used to live right where we lived, and she had planted that rose bush there for her daughter, who committed suicide in the closet of the pink room. She then went on to describe the girl. She was a white girl with long black hair in her teens, and she was about 16 at the time. That was the same girl in the photo. So, I do apologize about the long absence. This video should have been up a few days sooner than what it was. I am trying to keep my videos coming around every week and a half. I've just happened to be extremely busy as of late. On the next video, let's all have a tea party. And don't forget to bring your dolls. We're gonna have a little fun in my dollhouse.